The French fries are not French, they're actually Belgian. I will tell you why in a minute. Now, French fries are the most popular way of serving potatoes, but how do you cook French fries at home so good that they could be served in a Michelin star restaurant? It's actually really easy, and I'll tell you how. My name is Walter Trapp. I used to manage and run some of the best restaurants in Europe, and today I run my own cooking school. Now, story goes that French fries were invented in the late 1600s in Belgium, when the poor villagers in the Meuse Valley ate small fried fish they caught in the river. Now, that happened during the summer months. In the winter months, the river froze, so fishing became an impossible task. So the villagers came up with another idea, and they turned to potatoes, slicing them and then frying them, just the same way they prepared the fish. So how did we end up with the French name? Well, the French chef Michelin published a recipe by the late 1850s. It gained so much popularity that it became a mainstay in several American cookbooks as French fried potatoes. Another story goes that the name refers to the dish method of preparation, not its origin, because Frenching is also known as a way of cutting ingredients evenly shaped for even cooking. You know, like julienne, buttons, pisane. I mean, you work it out. Fact is, French fries are bloody delicious. I mean, the crunch is just amazing, and the inside is soft and flaky. Oh, it's just so good. Now, the traditional way of cooking French fries asks for a two-stage process where you first fry or boil the potatoes in oil at a lower temperature and then deep fry them at a higher temperature to crispen up the exterior. Now, this makes great chips, but unfortunately they don't stay crispy for long, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. That's the reason why McDonald's soaked their French fries in a solution of glucose, which is basically sugar coating them, and that's another way of sealing the outside, making them crunchy and chewy for much longer. Now, Heston Blumenthal, he solved the problem in another way. He boils or simmers them first in water for approximately 30 minutes until they're basically completely overcooked. This washes out some of the starch of the chip surface and causes lots and lots of cracks in the potato surface, making them really porous. And then the potatoes also much lower in water content because they let a lot of the water go during boiling. Then he dries them out in the freezer or desiccator. Now, why in the freezer, you ask? Well, the air in the freezer is super dry. Later, when deep frying, the oil then can occupy the chips' cracks on the surface and harden them and crispen them up, creating much more crunch. Plus, let's not forget, potatoes lost most of their water, much drier than wetter raw potatoes. It makes a lot of sense that Heston Blumenthal's chips will be miles ahead when they go into the oil. Freshly cut chips, on the other hand, they're wet. Their surface is covered with starch, and that starch acts like glue because it congeals when it gets in contact with heat, making it harder for the fat to crispen the chip. And after traditionally cooked chips are full of water steam, that steam makes the way to the chip's surface and basically makes them soggy shortly after cooking. And unfortunately, they stay soggy. And if you refry them, they usually become quite chewy and dried out. So let's continue with Heston Blumenthal's method. He then goes on to the traditional method by frying them first in 130 degrees hot oil till a sort of a light crust / skin is formed, but not browned. Then he once again dries them out, so he gets rid of more steam for a second time, and he does that again in the freezer before frying them just at 180 degrees in beef fat to activate the Maillard reaction, giving the fried chips a lot of flavor through achieving a golden brown crust. Yes, you heard me right, beef fat. But you need to know saturated fats are anyway much better for frying, as they re-solidify after frying. The result leads to the food being less oily tasting, more dry, much crunchier. Liquid oils with the oiliness change the mouthfeel and give you the perception of the fried food being less crispy and greasy and oily. How can you apply that at home? So here's my method. All I do is using Heston Blumenthal method, adding one extra step, and it's simply, I learned that in another 3 Michelin star restaurant, Tantris in Munich, they made chips or crisps for their entrees, and before they deep fried them, they soaked the potato slices for 30 minutes in warm tap water to wash out any of the starch, making the crisp or chips super dry without burning. So I apply that method to chips because I found the moment the potatoes get placed in the boiling water, the starch on the surface cooks and congeals, making it harder for it to get washed away. And if I soak that beforehand, this allows me to cook the potatoes less long. Therefore, they don't fall apart as much as I found with Heston Blumenthal method, because it is also very, very important to use the right potato variety. I mean, I don't want to go on too much about that, but please, please, please watch my video on how to make roast potatoes, where I explain you all about the different varieties of potatoes, which they're suitable for what. But for French fries, you need a starchy potato. Unfortunately, starchy potatoes, they tend to fall apart during cooking. So by washing the starch out beforehand, I can cook them much less, just like 10 or 15 minutes. And through that, I achieve the same starch loss, and the potatoes are not overcooked, they don't fall apart, they don't soak up unnecessary water, and then I dry them out in a tea towel or cake rack, because at home the freezer doesn't work as it has no fan and it simply struggles to cope with the steaming hot food. Then I deep fry the chips or crisps or French fries at 130 degrees hot fat till I can see a nice skin has formed on the French fries, and this takes approximately 15 to 20 minutes, and that's extremely important because that skin will hold them together later on during deep frying. I then dry them out again, then I heat my fat to 180 degrees. I deep fry them till they're crunchy, crispy, which takes another 5 to 8 to 10 minutes. Make sure you don't overcrowd the pan. They need to be cooked quite loose until they get a really nice crunchy outside, creamy center. So good. Now also check out my video on roast potatoes or fondant potatoes to complete your ultimate potato experience. Can you hear that? Those things were standing there at least 30 minutes now, and still listen to that. Still listen to that grind. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you another time.